So I played in the alpha and the beta, maintaining top 500 in the beta, only playing Thor. I got to rank 11 in the first rank push I played, mainly playing Thor. Thor by far is the strongest melee hero in the entire game. He can 1v1 any other melee hero in the entire game easily besides Iron Fist, which is kind of user dependent and incredibly close. With that being said, I really made it my mission to go into the beta to master this hero before taking him into ranked, and luckily they didn't change much about him, so that makes me really happy to be able to bring this mini Thor guide 1.0 over to you guys. Finally, now that the game is fully released. So with that being said, I hope you guys really enjoyed the full guide, and if you think I missed anything about the King of Asgard, let me know in the comments below. And thanks again for all the support in all the recent videos, I really appreciate it. To start us out, we're gonna roll with Thor's primary attack, Mjolnir Bash. Mjolnir Bash is extremely simple. Wield Mjolnir to strike enemies. When awakened, Thor can launch lightning arc waves to deal damage, but we'll get into what awakened means later. For right now, Thor's primary attack is 4 meters, which hits in a 0.6 second interval in between attacks, which is honestly pretty quick. For instance, Hulk and Iron Fist both have around 0.45, which is nothing compared to Wolverine's 0.27, but hey, my boy hits quick. Each primary attack does 45 damage. So boom, very easy primary spell. Now it gets kinda crusty. Thor's passive Thor Force is the most important part of Thor's kit, because all of his basic abilities rely on Thor Force. So that means his Shift Storm Surge, his F Awakening Rune, and his right click Hammer Throw, but not his E and not his ultimate. Thor can have a maximum of 3 Thor Force at a time, but Thor's shift and right click will only use 1 Thor Force. His F will use all 3 of his Thor Force, and his E uses no Thor Force. Now, Thor's right click, F, and shift are all on a 2-second timer that reset after one of them are casted. His E and his ultimate are the only 2 abilities that have diverse cooldown timers. Don't worry, I know it's a lot to take in, but the visuals when we go over the ability will come full circle. Okay, so how do you generate Thor Force after using abilities? For one, it recovers over time, so you can wait 5 seconds. Or, after casting Thor's right click, shift, or F, Thor has 5 seconds to land a primary attack on an enemy, which is immediately going to give Thor 1 Thor Force back. Not a lot of people know this at all, but when Thor's hammer is glowing, that means you'll get a Thor Force back after a primary attack. If it's no longer glowing, your time has run out and you have to recast another ability. Lastly, Thor's E will generate Thor Force on enemies hit, and again, is the only basic ability that won't give Thor Force on primary attack, but we'll go over what that means more when we get to his E ability. All I need you guys to know is essentially his abilities all rely on Thor Force. So now let's move into Thor's Shift, Storm Surge. Hold the spin Mjolnir before dashing forward and knocking enemies back. This ability takes 2 seconds to full charge to max distance, with no charge being 10 meters and full charge being 20 meters. However, you can hit an enemy in this move, and you can carry them with you. So, if you hit an enemy and you carry them, with no charge, it'll be 6 meters, and with full charge, it'll be 13 meters. With no charge, your damage is 40, and with full charge, your damage is 60. And again, this move costs Thor 1 Thor Force, and will generate 1 Thor Force back on primary hit. You're also granted 100 bonus health when you use this move. This move in particular is going to be the main reason you're playing Thor, I can't even lie. This is your transportation, your initiation, your disruption, and your overall power in general. There are several ways to use this move in particular. I think a lot of problems people have with Thor is they only look at this move as strictly a gap close. Naturally, if you don't land your shift when you're trying to one-shot a duelist or a strategist, 9 times out of 10 you should cut your losses and turn around, just try again later. For one, you can easily knock back the enemies diving your backline. Sure, basic peel, but you can get really spicy with this move. Your shift will knock the enemies back in whatever direction you're looking. That means vertical, horizontal, all directions. This makes Storm Surge incredibly disorienting to play against, especially when he's able to spam it every 2 seconds. The best way I found to use this move, if not to gap close, peel, or movement, is to completely disrupt the front line. A lot of my games have turned into stalemates where both teams are playing hella Hawkeye, essentially playing a medieval warfare, and unless you have another hero with you diving in this game, it's incredibly difficult. So my play is to jump behind the enemy vanguard, push them forward, and essentially make them the leading target, all while you're DPSing them down at the same time. You can get 3 primary attacks off in between your next shift if you're sticking onto them. And heroes like Magneto, or Groot, or even Strange have an incredibly hard time dealing with this disruption. Melee attacks going through shields leaves Thor at a massive advantage over any vanguard in the entire game. Thor's shift is incredibly versatile, but I don't believe it's the main reason people are struggling with Thor. We'll get to that ability when it comes, but for right now we have Lightning Lightning Realm. Thor summons lightning that restores Thor Force based on the number of hit enemies. This ability has a 5-meter spherical radius that lasts 4 seconds, dealing 40 damage and slowing enemies when they cross the boundaries, leaving the circle, not entering it. And the ability is on a 12-second cooldown. So what that means is you restore Thor Force not by enemies hit by your primary attack, but it's referring to your E, how many enemies are inside the circle when you cast it. This move and your ultimate, again, are the only two which will not restore Thor Force after primary attacks. Now, I'm not really sure if anybody even knows this ability does damage, since you have to go on the Wikipedia to see how it does damage, and that might be the main reason why I see Thor is just kind of wasting the move. But primarily for me, if I'm not using the ability in a full combo to get maximum damage off, it's being used to help me get back up to 3 Thor Force the quickest, allowing me to use my Awakening Rune for maximum damage. And that's our transition to the next Thor ability, Awakening Rune. And don't worry, we'll come back to that combo after this ability. It'll just make more sense. Your Awakening Rune consumes all 3 Thor Force to enter an awakened state, granting 200 bonus health and enhancing his primary, Mjolnir Bash, allowing you to shoot 11 projectiles that move at 60 meters per second, dealing 70 damage on hit with no damage drop off, while also granting you a spell field of damage around yourself, kind of like a Sunfire Cape from League of Legends, just zapping the people within a 3-meter spherical radius to you. For me, this is the main reason why people are struggling to play Thor. This move in particular can be extremely detrimental when you're fighting somebody, diving deep, or trying to get a crushing blow. You're practically left with your pants down, not able to use any move or generate Thor Force. You essentially put yourself into a glass cannon state for 5 seconds, and you really have to be clear on why you're using this ability. Realistically, I'll pop Awakening for a long-range poke at the start of maps, and when trying to finish off strategists or duelists in 1v1s, or for people running away or people flying, which is where that combo comes in from earlier, with Lightning Realm. A lot of the time, I have to use multiple dashes just to get to somebody, meaning multiple Thor Forces are being used. The Lightning Realm move helps a lot if you just had to use 2 out of 3 dashes just to get to somebody. Now I can simply use my last Thor Force to dash to them, auto them once, pop my Lightning Realm move, which will give me full Thor Force to enter my awakened state and finish them off. However, 9 times out of 10, if I'm battling another Vanguard, in general, this move is a detriment, and I believe that's where a lot of people struggle. They'll fly in thinking they can do huge damage, but if there's more than one person hitting you and you're stuck in your Awakened Rune, you're screwed. Lastly, for basic abilities, we move on to his right-click hammer throw. Thor throws Mjolnir forward, which then returns, which launches a single target projectile that returns after a delayed hit, traveling at 60 meters per second and returning at 80 meters per second with a maximum distance of 24 meters. Hammer throw does 70 damage on the outward damage, but if you miss the target initially, if Mjolnir hits the opponent while returning to Thor, this ability will deal 30 damage. This move will use 1 Thor Force, cannot crit, and will generate Thor 100 bonus health on cast. Hammer throw, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated abilities Thor has. I feel like I've never seen anyone cast the ability ever, and on initial glance, it makes you curious why you would use this instead of maybe your Awakening Rune. The simple answer is you don't have 3 active Thor Force to use, but the most realistic answer, people just forget about it. There's a combo you can consistently hit as Thor that's just single-handedly better than spamming somebody with your shift, displacing them over and over, which is what I see most Thors doing. That is shift spam over and over and over again. Shift, auto, 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 shift, auto, auto, auto. If you cast your hammer throw immediately after pressing left click, and I mean the split second after, you will completely animation cancel your primary attack. So I'll mainly use this move in a direct combo against Vanguards or in jumping on top of duelists instead of rushing to get another Storm Surge off or potentially entering Awakening Rune too early. This combo is absolutely insane. You can Storm Surge in, auto 3 times, and by the time that your next ability is up, you can just auto them once with your right click at the same time and just one-shot them. It's an insane amount of damage, and I want to see a lot more people get this combo down so I can see how much damage Thor really does when he's being played perfectly. Next, we have Thor's ultimate, God of Thunder. Thor soars upwards and smites the ground after charging for a duration of 1.5 seconds, inflicting damage on enemies within an 8-meter spherical radius. While you're in the air, Thor does 40 damage for each half second to an opponent for 2 straight seconds until he slams the ground, dealing 220 damage, for a maximum of 380 damage. So Thor's ultimate, in my opinion, is the hardest for me to deliver a strong opinion on how to use it. Because you're not unstoppable in this ultimate, there's a lot that can stop you from either getting off the ground in general or reaching the ground. Any CC can stop Thor in his ultimate, even while he's mid-air. So here's a list of everything that counters Thor's ultimate so you don't have to experience it yourself. Captain America's shield, Doctor Strange shield and ultimate, Groot walls, Hulk shield, Hulk passive, Hulk's E radioactive lockdown, Magneto right click, Mag cannon, and Magneto's shield. Penny Parker right click, Cyber Web Snare, Black Widow E, Edge Dancer, Hawkeye Shift, Crescent Slash, Hela E, Soul Drainer, Magic E, Umbral Incursion, Scarlet Witch E, Dark Seal, Spider-Man's E, Get Over Here, Squirrel Girl's right click, Squirrel Blockade, and the Spider-Man team up, Webbed Acorn. The Winter Soldier right click, Bionic Hook, Wolverine Shift, Feral Leap, Cloak right click, Dark Teleportation, Loki Shift, Regeneration Domain, Luna Snow right click, Absolute Zero, Mantis Shift, Spore Slumber, and last but not least, Jeff the Shark can just flat out eat Thor at full peak ultimate. It's ridiculous. For all those reasons being said, I think the best way to use Thor's ultimate is to simply get it over with immediately, be on the lookout for Mantis, Luna, or Cloak and Dagger just in case you have their ultimates up, and utilize it really well on payload maps or point objective maps to the best of your ability. But trust me though, with the amount of counter in the game, this ultimate can really feel iffy. But think of it like this, if your ultimate was gonna get countered anyways, then why not just use yours to burn a Mantis or Luna ult? That's a win for Thor. If you're able to burn a powerful ultimate like Luna Snow or Mantis, so your Hela or Black Panther or whoever has an easier time doing their job, that's a win for you. Lastly, we have Thor's two basic team-up abilities, Odinson Reborn with Hela, and Thunderous Deity with Captain America and Storm. When Hela lands a final hit defeating an enemy, she can instantly resurrect Loki and Thor from where they died, or grant them 50 bonus health if they're still alive. This move is insanely powerful, especially with how strong Hela is in the meta right now. It makes Thor even better than he already is. This ain't a Hela guide, but I know damn well all of you guys know how fast she can get kills with or without her ultimate, so there we go. For Captain America and Storm, Thor infuses Thor Force into Storm and Captain America, granting them an electrifying enhancement. Captain America gains a movement speed on his shield, and his shield is imbued with thunder power. Essentially, this move is just Thor's Awakening rune, but Cap's projectiles do 50 damage instead of 70, but his shield does ricochet, and he's still able to use any other ability. A small side note about this buff though, is I really do believe Captain America is one of the best vanguards in the game with Thor, just because he needs that extra damage output, but without it, Cap kinda struggles. So with that, I went over all my little tips for each move when I was doing the rundown for each ability. For right now, I really do believe Thor is one of the best vanguards in the entire game due to his versatility, and with this guide and these tips, hopefully you guys were able to learn something new. But yeah, expect a lot more ranked content coming out with small games uploaded and small guides in between. Thanks for watching.
I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't